All right, for more, we're joined by Executive Vice President of the Trump Organization, Donald Trump Jr. Don, great to see you. Thanks so much for being here tonight. I'm wondering if your father, President-elect Trump, has spoken with President Zelensky or President Putin since Joe Biden gave Ukraine permission to fire U.S. missiles at Russia on Sunday.
You know, I haven't heard about it, but I saw that, and I mean, it's absolute insanity. It's like they're trying to settle my father with World War III by trying to allow this escalation to continue. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? Striking the world's largest nuclear superpower by, volume of nuclear warheads with missiles capable of reaching Moscow. They understand that Trump can actually achieve peace. They want to make sure we keep this war going for no other reason, I guess, other than to enrich the military-industrial complex in Washington, D.C. that understands that the gravy train stops very quickly.
How concerned are you that the Biden team is doing this all deliberately to hurt your father, the incoming president?
I mean, what other plausible solution is there? I mean, they understand. They saw Russia's comment about it. Maybe it's time we talk about peace. We'd be welcome to that. They saw Zelensky's initial commentary, and all of a sudden they're sending capabilities to Ukraine that they don't have that could only escalate. It's not going to change the war. It's not like it's going to win it for them in the next 50 days. That ain't going to happen. We understand that. The only thing it could possibly do is escalate and aggravate, again, the world's largest nuclear superpower. If Putin feels threatened, if a man of that mentality feels threatened, and he's already said they've changed the level at which they would strike back with nuclear capability, what other plausible solution is it? That they would rather see World War III than allow my father to be able to achieve peace in a region that only he could probably achieve peace, and I bet he does it quickly.
Yeah, your father got a mandate 2 weeks ago on Election Day, won the Electoral College, won the popular vote, won all 7 battleground states. A lame duck president has never done this, escalated a war in a lame duck period. I know you've got children, I've got children. I'm concerned that we're not going to make it to January 20th intact for your father to end this war. That's a real concern for a lot of people right now.
That is a real concern, and unfortunately, there's so many rhinos, even Republicans in Washington, D.C., who have been telling me for years that Ukraine is the #1 issue for Republicans across the country. I've spoken to a lot of Republicans across the country, over 100,000. I've done the survey live as I'm speaking to audiences of 5,000, 10,000 people, 300 here, whatever it may be, over 100,000 people. And basically, thus far, 0 people. One person was from Ukraine, so I gave him a pass. He said it was a top 10 issue for him, but it wasn't a top 3 issue. We could end this thing right now. We could end the ridiculous funds. We could take the $250 billion that we have sent there, plus probably the other $250 billion that the Pentagon lost, that they can't account for, that has been funding this as a kickback to big war, as a kickback to Raytheon, where all these generals who've been aggravating the war because that's where they want to retire. That's going to be their board package. That's their very lucrative off-ramp out of the military. That is exactly what's going on here. So to enrich a couple of people in America at the expense of the American public, at the expense of your and my children eventually, to go fight a war that no one in Washington, D.C. has even been able to articulate to me what victory even looks like. They will do this. They will try to saddle my father with World War III, and then the media will run around, and the Democrats, it was Donald Trump's war. This is all his fault. It's absolutely disgusting what's going on. I mean, this is like a bad Tom Clancy movie. It's happening before our eyes, and it's so unnecessary. The American public should be outraged. I think they were. We saw that on November 5th. But the problem is you have that lame duck session for about 3 months where the Democrats are going to keep their never-ending war rhetoric continuing, and they're going to get us all in a lot of trouble. That's not just America or Russia. That's the entire world is going to suffer the consequences of Democrat insanity. That's what we're witnessing bear forth before our very eyes right now.
Yeah, 2 messages. One for President Zelensky, don't you dare fire another U.S. missile at Russia. And then a message for President Putin would be restraint. In 59 days, the adults will finally, after 4 years, be back in the room. I hope that President-elect Trump does reach out to both presidents between now and then, hopefully sooner rather than later. I'm wondering if you think Joe Biden should resign, or Kamala, who, by the way, is in Hawaii right now. Should she invoke the 25th Amendment? Because clearly Joe Biden, I've said this before, the cheese has slipped off the cracker, but he's not in charge now, Don. I don't think he's been in charge for a long time.
I don't think she has either, frankly. It's not like she was number two. I think this is the deep state. This is the gutters of Washington, D.C. This is everything that we have been fighting against for the last 9 years. These are the people pulling the levers of power. Again, and that's the Uni Party. That's not Republicans or Democrats. That's just simply the swamp in Washington, D.C. The American people sent out a very clear mandate on November 5th. They want this insanity to stop. So I do hope that cooler heads prevail, both from Zelensky's standpoint. He probably has nothing to lose. Again, he wants the money to continue, and he understands that the only way to get people to the table is to actually pull that money away. The second that money stops flowing infinitely into Ukraine, all of a sudden, I have a feeling he's going to sit his butt down at the table and start actually negotiating peace. They could have done it at the beginning between the Biden administration and Boris Johnson. They had a peace plan. They scuttled that because they wanted to enrich a few people. The American people spoke very loudly. They don't want this to continue. They would love that money not going to endless war and endless death. They'd love it to actually maybe educate our children, or take care of our veterans, or fix our crumbling infrastructure, or secure our borders so we can stop the scourge of human trafficking and fentanyl coming across our borders on a daily basis. That's what we should be spending our money on, not insanity and not never-ending wars. That part of America is over, and the Washington, D.C. swamp better learn it quickly.
Yeah, that's a good point. Over the weekend, so Joe and Mika, Morning Joe, flew down to Mar-a-Lago to meet with your father. I'm wondering, so MSNBC is drowning to the point where Comcast is going to sell off MSNBC to the highest bidder. Why did your father take that meeting? Like, why throw Joe and Mika a lifeline?
Listen, I think my father always wants to hear from all sides. I mean, I think MSNBC deserves to go the way of the dinosaurs. They've proven that these are not impartial people. They are not spreading news. These are purely propagandists. But he's going to listen to everyone. He's going to have to lead America, not just MAGA America or America First America, even if that's the popular vote, even if that's a majority. He's got to lead America for all Americans. He's going to hear from everyone, and then he's going to make up his own mind. So I think it was noble for him. I don't know that they're going to be noble back. I think once he gets into office, it's going to be convenient for them for ratings purposes to try to hit him and attack him at every angle. But, it's good to see at least one person magnanimous in all of this after the last 9 years of constant, barrage of attacks.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago they were calling him Hitler, and now they're traveling to Florida to meet with Hitler, the person they called Hitler. The irony's rich.
Just a quick final question. Hitler, but that's just me. Maybe it was all nonsense all along, Rob. That's just me. Maybe I'm just a rational being, but it'd be nice to bring some common sense back to Washington, and hopefully we get some of that finally.
Don, what's your role in the second Trump administration?
I don't have a role in the administration. I want to help him during the transition, try to make sure everyone understands who are the bad actors. There's plenty of people with an R next to their name that are going to try to stonewall, slow down his agenda, kick the can down the road, try to wait out the 4 years. I've had a lot of experience in that. I've been going after myself. I've seen the worst of Washington, D.C. I want to make sure that he's surrounded by the best people possible. I want to make sure he sees those people. I want to make sure we try to weed out the worst actors. Ultimately, it's my father. He's going to make up his own mind. But having been sort of on the front lines of a lot of the nonsense for a long time, I think I have a pretty good understanding. So I'm going to have those conversations with him. He's going to make up his own mind, but we're going to try to form the best cabinet possible to be effective. And I think that is what scares the swamp the most. A win now, after the experience we had, is so much more effective. The 24 to 28 years will be so much more effective than what my father could have done from 20 to 24, because you would have just sort of rolled over the same administration, a couple guys thinking that they knew better, even if they were unelected officials, subvert the will of the duly elected president of the United States. Now we're starting from scratch. We're not starting with that slate. There could be a couple of great guys from there, but we're going to have a lot of new people from the outside who have proven to be competent, loyal, and willing to do the work of the president of the United States, not the Washington, D.C. swamp. And I think that's why you see such pushback from the Uni Party, because they're truly scared there. That is the mandate that the American people set forth. It's not just my father against the world now. He has a team of people surrounding him, true experts from all walks of life, from all political affiliations. When you look at Tulsi Gabbard, you look at Bobby Kennedy Jr., you look at Elon Musk. I mean, that brain trust, that expertise in their various fields, that's the true threat to Washington, D.C., but that's the perfect thing for the American public, because they're going to have exposure just how poorly their money has been spent, just how wasteful it is, just how incompetent and inefficient it is. And once you get rid of that incompetence and that inefficiency, you can allow America to thrive, because I imagine there are trillions of dollars that we can save that can be put towards the things the American people actually want and the American people actually need. And I can't wait to see that. It's going to be a golden age in America.
59 days to go, Don. Great to see you tonight. Thanks so much for being with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Rob.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.